All right. Welcome to Behind the Anvil. Today we have Dallas Poore, founder of Warriors of the
Of
Wind.
the wind.
That's right. For some reason, I was going to say so. Yeah. Anyway,
Not the only one, man. I promise.
I
A
usually
lot of people
screw
say
up the.
words of other things.
Yeah, I ended up screwing up the intro a lot. So we'll eventually get it. But hey, it's off the cuff. I'm having fun with it. It's my podcast. I'll do what I want, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Dallas. Let's jump into it. Drop your social, everything else, and then we'll roll.
Well, we've got a website, which is getting to be old-fashioned, I guess, but it's warriorsofthewind.org. If you go to .org/about, that's a lot of our previous podcasts and radio stuff, and there's a lot of good information there, donation information. So warriorsofthewind.org about. Um, Facebook is where I tend to keep our current events, and I've got my own personal Facebook, which is my name, Dallas Poore. Then I've got Warriors of the Wind Warriors of the Wind 23 is our Facebook handle. Um, I prefer TikTok for most of my short form videos that I put out about mental health and motorcycling, etc. And my favorite, I like TikTok best because of the editing tools and everything. So TikTok, and it's my handle is it used to be Dallas the Voice. Now it's Warriors of the Wind. And Instagram, we're WOTW_foundation. And what else? That's mostly what we got going on. Well, YouTube. YouTube is the one I started with that I really wanted to make go stratospheric, but then I learned that YouTube is harder to grow than you realize,
Oh,
as is
yes.
everything else. So we do have youtube.com/Warriors OT Wind is our YouTube
Awesome.
account. So
Yeah.
our longer videos go on YouTube. The short form stuff goes on the others. So
Awesome. I've been doing a lot of shorts on YouTube, and that's what seemed to be growing the channel the most. I went from like 64 people up to 348 so far. So remember, like, subscribe, hit that button, let us know when you come on. You can check out all the awesome content here and Wells our other social media platforms. So, but anyway, but first off, bills got to be paid. Let's don't forget to mention the who pays the bills, besides me driving truck now. Mike's Damascus Knives for your custom orders. So from custom order chef knives, kitchen knives to bug out knives, whatever you want. We're doing custom orders. Check us out at mikesdamascusknife.com or Mike's Damascus LLC. Let's get on with it. So Dallas, tell us a little bit about who we are. I know we talked over the last few years. We met through our friend Robert Garcia. Ooh, that's a
I've
nice
got to
one.
show the knife that I got from Mike's Damascus Knives. This was a
Nice.
gift. It's
The
very,
daisy
very, very
colored.
sharp.
Yes.
So,
That shout out to his better half. She's
yes,
definitely
man.
better looking.
um, so yeah, Sarah got me that as a surprise, and it definitely worked. And it's a awesome knife. So thank you very much. Great quality. Just giving you a quick shout out there.
Well, thank you. So Dallas, where are you originally from and how did you get to where you are today?
That is a big question, man. Grew up in
Let's
Iowa.
dive into it.
All right. Born and raised in Iowa, and that's actually a state in the middle of the country for anybody who doesn't know. It's also not Ohio or Idaho. It's Iowa, in case everybody has trouble with that one. I'm just sparing you some questions. So, I
Farm
also have
country. So
dogs
you're a
that are
farm
big.
boy, huh?
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
grew up working as a farmhand, doing a lot of what most kids now would think are very undesirable jobs.
well, we need farmers because yeah, we all like to eat, and it's not just comes from the grocery store.
Right.
Iowa is a beautiful country. Used to run through there, going to Chicago a lot when I was flatbedding. Beautiful place.
It was a great place to grow up in hindsight. Like the work ethic coming out of there, the people are good, they're honest. Um, I've been other places in the world and the country that were not of the same values. I'll say that. So, shout out to Iowa. Shout out to Villisca, Iowa, in particular. That is my hometown, and I'm so proud to be from there. Lots of good people there. Lots of memories.
Right on. So from, you growing up in Iowa, playing a farm kid, playing in piles of shit, fishing, hunting, stuff like that.
Something like that. I wasn't too much in the hunting actually, but
How
I
dare
know. Gasp. I know.
you?
Um, but yeah, basically went to high school there. Got some scholarships that led me to a place I didn't plan on going, which was college. College was not something I thought I'd be doing, to be honest, when I was younger, but the everything just kind of lined out to where it made sense to go. And did that for 2 years before joining the Marine Corps. I joined the Marine Corps halfway through my sophomore year, I guess, and joined the Marine Officer Program. Graduated from Iowa State. There was a school transfer between there, but
Nice.
graduated from Iowa State
What?
Cyclones, not the Buckeyes.
Go
So,
Cyclones! Woo!
so, and then took a Marine Corps commission the same day I graduated, and the rest is kind of history. Went
So what
back
did
to
you?
Quantico.
What was your main course of study?
I had 5 different majors, bro. So,
Oh Jesus! I'm just no wonder. You know, I'm meeting all these people as like got these pedigrees and these pieces of paper, and here I am, just a lonely guy that beats on steel and drives truck. That's kind of cool.
and you may be smarter than 95% of us. So,
Oh well, some days I wonder.
everybody's smart in their own ways. Uh, so I went into college thinking I was going to be a music major. And I used to sing a lot. I was in bands and didn't know what the heck I would do with something like that, but I had to choose something. And I liked music. I made that work until I hit music theory, and it changed all my thoughts about being a music major because music theory was not my bag. So then I changed to business. I did journalism and mass communication, marketing, and then at some point in the mix there, I end up switching colleges from a small school in Iowa to Iowa State where I graduated. And by the time I switched to Iowa State, I had already gone through Marine Corps training. And if I didn't get my degree within a certain amount of time, then I was going to have to go back and repeat training. And you can imagine repeating Marine Corps officer training is not something you want to do. So I
Why
was thankful to make the
not?
move this time. But
Shout
anyway,
out the Marines.
ended up with a liberal studies degree, and it's worked
Oh
for what
no,
I
did
needed
we
it for.
just use the liberal word? Dun,
I
dun,
know. I was
dun.
waiting for it. But it's all worked out how it was supposed to, I think. And I ended up in the Marine Corps and had my fun there. Served, did the Marine thing, and
When did you join the Marines? What year?
November 14th, 1997 was my enlistment contract to go to OCS.
I was in middle school.
You're not making me feel better right now.
I was gonna say you're when did you graduate?
December of 2000, I graduated from Iowa State.
Okay. Well, I'm in high school. When did you
Well,
graduate?
high school, 1996.
97. Oh, so 97. So I graduated in '03. So there you go. How's that make you
Okay.
feel, bud? I don't think you're over the 50 mark, are you?
I am not. No, and
Knocking on.
I'm not dreading it either because I didn't think I'd still be alive this long. So
Right. I'm on
I'm not even
41
close to
now,
joking.
and I'm surprised I haven't accidentally killed myself. Put a knife in my belly by accident, put a knife in the leg by accident, chainsaw in the leg by accident.
These
I
things actually
I
happen.
bounced off a few windshields, fell down when we took a porch off to pour a concrete porch. When I ran out the back door, forgot, landed on a steel plate where the fall shelter is. So it's probably a reason why I have a few little quirks.
That was a lot. My stories are different, but still equally almost killed me. So we're both
Um,
still here. Let's make the most of it.
so what was so just out of curiosity, if you don't mind, we dive into your military history a little bit. What was it like in the late 90s, early 2000s, and of course, 9/11? What was that like for you? What was your experience? Is there anything you want to share on that or would mind sharing?
Yeah, 9/11. That was a big day for everybody. Obviously, I don't have to spell out too much, but I had basically joined a peacetime military, and on 9/11, it turned into something very different. So I remember leaving the base at the end of September 11th. No, actually, I left the base on the 12th, and they said only leave the base if you've got a good reason because when you're coming back in, it's going to be a long time getting on base. And my biggest memory of 9/11, other than the terrible, awful things that happened, we got daily, hourly updates on them while we still continue training, which I was not happy about. But um, I left the base, no big deal going off the base. Coming back on the base was a different story. It was a very different experience than 2 days prior. to where they were just like, check your ID, shoot you a salute, you go on through.
This time
On
we break out the gloves.
Oh man, it was September 12th coming back on NAS Pensacola. They had what do they call them? K rails. They have you have to like weave through the K rails. They had a guy on the rooftop with M250 caliber machine gun. The guards were walking around with I don't remember if it was 249 saws or 240 Golf medium machine guns, but it was enough to
Ooh,
leave
we're talking some
leave a
fun
mark.
toys.
Yeah, yeah. So they had bomb dogs. They had the mirrors going underneath the cars. And I had honestly just I thought it was a good enough reason to leave the base to go walk the beach a little bit and have a cold one just to walk off the stress of what was happening. But turned out not to be the best decision, but that didn't really cause me any problems. But walking or coming back in that gate with all those things in place, I was like, whoever did this to us is going to pay, and they're going to pay big.
That ain't no shit. Where were you stationed at?
So Pensacola was where I went. Okay, let me rewind a little bit. I took my degree or got my degree, and then I went on to the basic school in Quantico, Virginia. So that's 6 months of infantry centric training. It's not infantry officer school, but it's we learned a lot of the infantry tactics, the inner workings of a rifle company, and the admin that goes with it, all the stuff that all the paper pushing stuff nobody wants to do. And so that was 6 months. It's a very intense 6 months. It's you walk out of that place different than you walked into it. So you walk out ready to lead Marines, or at least prepared, trained to lead Marines. And next thing you do is go to your MOS school. So that was in Pensacola. That's where I learned aircraft maintenance. And
MOS, that's a specific kind of training, correct? If I remember correctly.
yeah,
Uh,
so your MOS is your job, military occupational specialty.
okay. I couldn't remember the term. I've heard it on and off through my whole life, but recall sometimes a little slow.
All good. I'm sure I can learn things from you, and you can learn a couple from me too. So, but yeah, went to Quantico, went to Pensacola. September 11th happens. I think I had about a month and a half left in that school, and then went out to the fleet, which is straight to Camp Pendleton, and ended up joining the MALS, which is Marine Aviation Logistics Squadron, and we call that intermediate level maintenance. I was there for 3 months, basically got my first platoon and survived that experience. After 3 months, I went to down to the squadron, and then it's where the rubber meets the road. We had 27 helicopters, about 300 Marines, and a whole lot of stress to go with it. And that training does a little bit for you, but it doesn't do a whole lot. When you get there, you're definitely the new guy. So just had to kind of take my lumps and often learn things the hard way. But my Marines mentored me, and they were good to me, and I got the chance to get some real world leadership experience that has served me well since then. So, what's your next question? I'm rambling.
Oh, that's all right. We're just listening. Let's get to hear about it. Matter of fact, I found a buddy of mine turned me on to. I don't know if you ever heard of him. His name's the Flat Electrician. You find him online or here on YouTube. Great. He does a lot of military history and such like that. He did a deal on the birth of the Navy and John Paul Jones and how they went over there to fight the pirates over there. Oh, for heaven's sakes, I'm drawing a blank. And there's a lot of stuff I didn't realize on that one. The term leatherneck, I didn't realize that came from that. They're battling with all the pirates that would, capture our vessels and such because they mess with our boats, as Nick, the fat electrician would say. Don't mess with American boats. You get the Marines. And he kind of went through all that on how the Marines were started basically out of a bar and then went from there, which is really cool. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely part of our culture. I'll say that.
uh,
That bar thing is stuck with us.
So what is with the crayon thing? I've asked a few other Marines, but a few guys said that's before their kind of their time. So what's with the crayons? I mean, are they really that tasty?
You
I mean,
know, the crayons is something that came into play after I was in. So
I'm gonna have to go get some younger Marines here, I guess.
I've had people tell me they put them in our MREs. They sell crayon like looking gum, all sorts of stuff. but I can't say I ever recall. I'm not saying it wasn't happening, but I don't recall any crayon references when I was in.
Oh,
So that must have started
okay.
sometime after 2005, I'm guessing.
We're
I
gonna have
left
to
the
figure
Marine
that out.
Corps and everything.
Maybe it was Sharpies before then. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe, maybe.
Oh,
I
so
chewed on pencils a lot because I was nervous, like anxious of helicopters flying and all that. Just kidding.
I'm so did you serve in Iraq or Afghanistan or both?
Operation Iraqi Freedom 2003. I was actually stationed in northern Kuwait. And so we were not kicking indoors. We were more keeping aircraft flying and dodging missiles instead. So our threats were coming from places we couldn't see. We didn't know when they would happen. It just all times of the day and night, we would hear incoming fire alarms. We had Patriot missile batteries around us, so those were pretty darn good at knocking down whatever was coming our way, but they weren't 100%. So
Yeah, I've been following some stuff on a couple former military that were in that. I've watching some of his stuff, and he's talking about that. It's fascinating, from where they went with the Patriot missile system first come and where we're at today, and some other people shared some stuff too with me, and it's like, I mean, the stuff we got now is like, holy shit! Don't don't mess with our boats, people. You mess with our boats, you're gonna be a crater. And it's just,
YouTube is very educational on some of the things that we have now.
oh god, I mean, I've been watching more YouTube stuff on these creators evolve, like Fat Electrician, Angry Cop. I don't know if you ever watched him. He's hilarious. He's a Buffalo, New York City cop, and also in the military, a drill sergeant. I think is what he is too. Does some great stuff. You got to go check him out. And then the other guys of Unsub podcasts and such, which I'm dropping names because hopefully maybe they'll catch this and I can get on their show. That'd be awesome, be fun. But um, so you gone through in 2003. You're in country. How long were you in country for, and how long did you serve?
We we were there for about 3 months before our aircraft, all of them had holes in them. They were shot up real good.
Which
Uh,
aircraft was that?
Hueys and Cobras. So
Huge.
one's a gunship, one's what they call a CNC helicopter command and control. Also like medivacs and such. So we had 18 Cobras, 9 Hueys. Um, they had a lot of battle damage by the time we left, and then we came back to the squadron spaces. Well, we came back to the U.S. and basically swapped out those aircraft. Then we redeployed to Okinawa, so we got a whole stack of good aircraft again, and we left all the stuff with bullet holes in it back on Camp Pendleton. So you can imagine the squadron that took possession of those was none too happy to have a bunch of aircraft they couldn't fly. That's
Bad.
Yeah, I mean, because their pilots can't stay qualified if they can't fly. So I'm sure they had to do whole bunch of stuff to be able to train their pilots the way they needed to. So I can't say I felt bad for them, but I kind of felt bad for them a little bit because we were getting ready to go back to tropical paradise and they were stuck in CONUS dealing with those aircraft. So
Oh man. So what was it like going from the desert to I've heard it. Now again, I've never been over there. I've only the second hand. It's like, could be up to 130 degrees and then drop down to like 80, and then you're freezing your balls off from that temperature difference. So what was it like going from, middle of the desert to something tropical?
I'll put it this way. I think I left CONUS to go basically go to war weighing about 155 pounds. I came back weighing 130 something. So that tells you something right there.
Sweat that off, did you?
Yeah, sweated off, didn't eat that much. And that was some of that was my fault. Because I was always so focused on the mission. I didn't bother doing things like sleeping and eating so well. So um
Well, Marines don't sleep. It's like Marines don't die. They just go to hell and regroup, right?
right, all those things.
Shout out
Um
the Marine Corps. Hoorah.
but yeah, basically my weight fluctuated over the period of let's just say 8 months. It fluctuated about 40 some pounds. I remember that. So when we redeployed to Okinawa, Australia, and the Philippines, I basically lived in, a little apartment and had a refrigerator, and I had a lot of steaks in it and mashed potatoes, and you
Ooh.
name it, I was eating it because I could. So
No, my grandfather was in the Navy. He was a medic, a corpsman. Corpsman? Yeah, I said that
yeah,
right. Please tell me I said that right.
Navy
Um,
corn.
yeah, and he was attached to the Marine Corps down there in the Solomons. I can't remember what part of the Solomons he was in the Solomon Islands. I'm drawing a blank,
All good.
but some more. I'll share. I'm gonna try to get some of that written down and then kind of read that off and share that on here. The stuff that my dad told us and such growing up. I remember my grandpa. He passed away in '91. I was about 6 years old, so pretty cool interesting history. I'd like to see if I can. I know there was a big fire back in the '70s. A lot of the records were destroyed, but I'd like to see if there's any. See if I can find his records and such. See what he's done. Yeah, I know he's got a few medals, but not very much. So it'd be kind of
You
cool
know,
to hear.
I've got a podcast coming out pretty darn soon. I'm going to go back and podcast with this gentleman
Go ahead
again.
and plug it.
But no, I'm just telling you, it's got
Oh,
a format you might be interested to follow because when I was talking to this World War II veteran who lives one street away from me, um, as it's like an hour long interview, but what I did was as he was talking about things, I would go and find those things online, pull down a picture, and I put a picture of it in the podcast. And
nice.
it's actually a pretty interesting history lesson that I'm excited to share. Uh,
Ooh.
takes a while to do it, but it's worthwhile.
When
So
you share that online, just tag me in it. Oh, I'd love
yeah,
to.
I'll let you know what's coming out.
So, so how was it living over that way? I mean, you got steaks, you got mashed potatoes. God, you're like living in Iowa, right?
More or less.
Meat potatoes. That is a good way to live. I like it a little too much. So, from that, what did you do over while you were there?
Man, I explored the heck out of that island, I'll tell you that. Um, I was fortunate to be in a place like that and having the privileges that an officer has because the junior enlisted didn't have the kind of ability to go off base that I did.
Oh, that's
So
right. We're speaking of an officer. No, I'm just kidding.
forgive me for my transgressions, but
Oh,
no, I just we did normal training stuff. We got to keep the aircraft flyable. It's a different training environment because all the salt water was surrounded by, so corrosion control was a big deal. I won't bore you with all those nuances, but
why not? I love details.
well, that's the one thing about Okinawa I didn't like was keeping the aircraft maintained. So, um, but it's a beautiful place, man. The culture is unbelievable. Just being able to go jump in that ocean. There's such beautiful everything, every kind of fish you can imagine over there. And
And
going from a place that was what the Marines love to say, they use the word austere a lot, but going from an austere environment to a tropical paradise was not a bad way to go. So we were there for close to 6 months. I did about a month and a half in Australia. I skipped the Philippines and came back a little more cultured and had more meat on my bones. So
well, there you go. I'm gonna say Guadalcanal and all that area. That was Guadalcanal. Yeah, I think that's where my grandpa was, where he mainly was. That's right. God, that area down, there's a lot of history there during World War II with Marines
yeah,
and the Army. A lot of it. I mean, just I remember, growing up, watching, those World War II movies with that. He's got the big collector box, World War II in color. VHS. We're getting old. That's how old I am. And now I find myself, you see that running joke online. It's like, you get older in your 40s, you smoke meat and watch World War II documentaries. And that ain't no lie. I just haven't got on the smoking meat part yet, but that ain't no lie. I'm finding it's really nice to now you can actually find true history, not the crap they teach in schools, which doesn't teach you. They teach you dates, that's it. But when you get out and get older, you're like, oh, there's some real history, real cool stuff. So,
I can tell you that Okinawa, like the history and the culture over there is, I can't say second to none because I haven't been everywhere, but it's really incredible. You can go from one tip of the island to the other, and the amount of stuff that you see and people you can talk to, and things like, well, kind of like what you do with your knives, what do they call it? Like old school crafting of goods. Lots of glass blowing. There's wine making. There's wood carving type places. and everything they do there, like the pottery is just absolutely beautiful. They put their heart and soul into everything they do in Japan. They don't. It's not a place where they, you know, go halfway. They go all the way in the
So
quality
instead
of
of
the food.
half ass, they go full ass. I
Yeah,
like it.
something like that.
So what is something that comes to mind about being there? You got a funny story or, something, why being there or something?
Well, there's a couple things that are kind of interrelated. So, like I said,
Let's
I
do
love
it.
the ocean there. The East China Sea, there, I don't remember the frequency, but the locals are very superstitious. Some of it's part of their religion on some level, I think. And there are certain days of the year that they don't go anywhere near the ocean because their culture believes that they'll be pulled into the ocean by their ancestors. So those are the days I'd go and dive because they were, pretty open to no locals around. I just go dive on those days. But
Beach zone
so
yourself. Sweet.
yeah, that's exactly how it felt. And so the ocean was very special, but another thing I definitely will never forget is the typhoons. And I've actually got a tattoo that I've talked about on another podcast. This is uh, the coordinates for a place that I caught up in a typhoon while I was diving, and I was half an hour from shore, and
Oh shit.
that made me realize my mortality real fast. So that's a story that will always stay with me, and I have this as a reminder, like don't put yourself in those positions,
Well,
Say,
so do you mind sharing about that? What
I
was
sure can. Basically, there was a vertical cave system called the Monza Dream Hole, and it was on the northwest side of the island, I think. And basically, you drive up to this parking lot, you walk down to a dock, you jump off the dock, and like it's a long fall off the dock too. Um, Land in the ocean, and you shoot a heading of 020, and then you swim on the surface for roughly half an hour to get this buoy that's floating there on the surface. And then as soon as you put your face in the water, you can see this hole opens up. It's about, I don't know, it's about 4 feet wide, I'm guessing. And as soon as you go, 5, 10 feet in there, you lose all the light and you're just in this pitch black vertical tunnel. And you come out the side of a coral wall at about 90 to 100 feet deep. And it's like swimming into an IMAX theater. It's just beautiful, bright blue with hundreds of fish right in front of you.
Now, are you diving with equipment, tanks and everything to do that
Oh
deep?
yeah,
Or
tanks.
okay,
Oh,
I'm sitting there
I mean, there's
like,
people that
man,
can
you
do
can
that kind of
hold your
diving.
breath
Yeah.
big time.
Oh, I did. I got to where I could dive down to about 40 feet with no tanks. And I'd still kind of like to get back into that. But um, yeah, I haven't dove in a long time actually. I thought I'd be doing that for the rest of my life, but diving's one of those things. I've had so many close calls that it's gotten a little less fun. um, but it's still a great time when I go out and do it. It's just been a while.
Yeah,
So
I tried myself to learn diving and everything else. I've got issues with my ears. I can't equalize them. Hurt. Oh, I've never had so much hurt in my life, and I was only like 6 feet down.
yeah, some people are definitely not cut out for it for whatever reason. That's a pretty common reason. Um, so that
Anyway,
day when we went down to the cave, it was the ocean was completely flat. There was not a cloud in the sky. It was absolutely beautiful. But I hadn't checked the weather before we left. That's
uh-oh.
on me.
Remember, folks, moral of the story: check the weather before you go anywhere.
Exactly. So we're getting ready to dive down, and I saw literally one raindrop hit the surface of the ocean, and I'm looking around I'm like that is weird. And so my buddy and I were just kind of looking for more, didn't see more. We kind of look at each other like, we're already here. So we go down, we come out
Looking like a true Marine.
at yeah, more or less. So it kind of goes down, then comes this way, then comes this way, and you can look it up online. It's a gorgeous dive. It's definitely on the more extreme dangerous side of diving. Anytime you go into a covered system like that, you're taking your life in your own hands. But came down at 90 feet, 100 feet, whatever it was, started coming up, and we see lots of surge in the water and
Uh-oh.
waves crashing. And we're like, what the heck did we do? So we get up there and we realize that we are right in the middle of a developing typhoon, and shore was still half an hour away. And there was a Japanese boat that was anchored right where we went into the cave system. But you don't want to mess with the Japanese. Like if we just climb on that boat, I don't know what the laws are, but I wasn't willing to risk it. um, so we just kind of went, okay, we got to swim back to shore. And I'm surprised I don't have a bunch of scars from that swim back because it was ragged coral, sea urchins on the walls, everything else.
So what
But
was it like sitting? I mean, I'm guessing you're under the water looking up and seeing the waves. What's that look like? I mean, I
heaven. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. It's something that if you don't experience it firsthand, it's really hard to wrap your mind around it. But you can see some good documentaries now of like Planet Earth and things along those lines, that where you get a pretty good feel for it. But it's not the same as
no
being
bet not.
completely encapsulated in that.
So I mean, I'm sure. I imagine once you get like 5, 6 feet underneath the surface, you don't really feel it, or until you get closer, or the water moving,
Don't feel the typhoon or don't
the
feel
typhoon, the storm, the
yeah, I
wave.
mean, it's more you just getting kind of rocked. It's if you're on like I'll give you an example. One time I was off the shore of Oahu and I was filming this octopus and I was so tuned into what I was doing that I didn't feel the slight surge that was raking me over a sea urchin over my stomach. So I had a big old red patch on my stomach the next day. And then I realized, oh, that must have been a sea urchin I was feeling. So, but
Well,
yeah.
that's what she said. But I'm sorry, I had to say it.
Oh man, here we go.
Oh,
But yeah, anyway, swam back. We made it somehow, but it was terrifying. That was the closest I've felt to my own mortality. Like I said, it was definitely scary.
yeah. Um, I've only been in the ocean on the beach and everything. Well, we did go out and try and go deep sea fishing. That didn't work out too well. Don't eat breakfast before you go out fishing. We learned that out the hard way. The daughter, so it was not a fun time. I mean, it was, but it wasn't kind of thing. So that was a long 2 hours when you're seasick. I mean, I didn't chuck. I'm just sitting there like I could feel it like
Been there, done
oh,
that many times.
we're gonna chum the water. So from there, so how long were you in the Marines? How long were you in the service until you, I'm assuming, retired at a certain point, or
I didn't retire, so everything works differently for officers. But basically, I signed my OCS contract November 14th, 1997. And then I left active duty in January 2005. And I think I submitted my letter of resignation February of 2009, if I remember correctly. Because as an officer, you keep that, you kind of stay on the payroll, so to speak. And if you don't tell them I'm done being in the Marine Corps, they'll still call you up for as long as they want to, more or less. So you resign your commission, you give them a good reason, and that's the end of that, pretty much. So they acknowledge receiving what you sent them on the resignation, and you're pretty much free and clear after that,
nice?
unless World War III
So
breaks out, God forbid.
right, they call you up. Hey, you're coming back if you like it or not, right? So,
A lot
so
of fun
after
though.
that, you get done, you're out, you transition from the military. What was that like? What was that process for you like? Where did you go from there?
I got headhunted into a major corporation. I had because I was headhunted, I definitely had less of the fears like unemployment, not being able to, support myself, those things. And that was that's a pretty big gift right there because a lot of guys when they get out don't have that. I was lucky that the technical part of my MOS lended itself pretty well to um, civilian. I ended up being a buyer planner for a manufacturing operation. I was basically a parts chaser in the Marine Corps, getting what we needed to fly, and then I did the same thing in the civilian sector for a manufacturing
Nice.
plant. So it was kind of a logical transition. I won't call it a smooth one. Corporate America does some really ugly things, and I wasn't prepared for that. The Marine Corps, we're all about integrity, and if you don't have integrity, you're not a very good Marine. And civilian sector, I found that there's a whole lot less integrity. And I had a hard time with that. And eventually I just kind of went, bye, see ya.
See, adios. Yeah,
So,
I can imagine, you look at somebody like beep in your mind. I mean, don't say it.
you know, but I took that experience, and then with my second job out of the Marine Corps, I ended up with an engineering firm, and I wasn't qualified to do it on the engineering side of things, but they needed a construction manager, which you can get qualified to do that out in the field. So during that job interview, I stayed unemployed for like a whopping 3 weeks or something like that. I used up my vacation days. Next day, I had a job basically. And when I interviewed with that CEO, who's still a dear friend of mine, I asked him, I said, I'm going to be honest with you. Last job, I left because of integrity. Where does integrity fall, on a scale of 1 to 10 in this company? And he kind of looks at me, he's like, 10. Hard, it's a hard 10. And I got home, I sent him a thank you email. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Hope we get to speak with you again. And he responded back, actually, I meant to say it's a 12. And so I stayed with that company for quite a while. They did things right. They treated their employees well, and got to do some pretty cool projects with that company. Brady, shout out Richard Brady and Associates. Still proud to be among them on some levels. So, but
I'm somewhat still attached there.
yeah, so we've had a business relationship off and on since I started my own company in 2012. And basically, I went to grad school, got kind of a foundation for business admin and whatnot, and then uh, started a company called Fortitude. Did that starting in 2012, and technically, I still kind of do it. I just haven't really killed the company off just yet. So it still just kind of sits there,
When a Marine kills something, they're dead.
but
Sorry.
all good.
So what was your company about? What did you do? I'm exactly with that. I mean, I know it's on its way out, but tell us a little bit about that.
Basically, when I started the company, I wanted to kind of replicate what I had seen the company I was currently in being successful at, and I wanted to team with them. So I basically had a meeting with the executives. I said, hey, like, I qualify for certain contracts that you don't as a veteran, and I wonder if we can make this thing work. And we gave it a pretty good run. We pursued quite a bit of federal work, and some things happened during that time frame. There was a big bribery scandal on Camp Pendleton that we had nothing to do with, and there was also some federal government spending cuts that affected a lot of things. So, but long story short, uh, construction management was the idea with Fortitude, and I wanted to bring on, and general contracting. I wanted to bring on vets that were transitioning out of the military, disabled vets, and I wanted to give them jobs and put them to work, give them something they could be proud of, keep them on the base. And I did some of that. I'm proud of some of the things we did. We did a project in the VA hospital in La Jolla, and so hopefully that stuff's still hanging up there. It was basically like an art museum kind of thing we put up. And yeah, then I kind of got away from construction a little bit, and that's kind of landed me where I am now.
So it kind of rolls into what are you doing now? And speaking of that, um, tell us a little bit about Warriors of the Wind and why.
Um,
Oh, back there you go.
there we go. Okay, can you see? Okay, you can kind of see it.
So what
Um,
got you, as you're saying, your company, you brought on military personnel to help them transition, give them a job, apply their skills from the military into civilian life. I'm assuming that's kind of what you did. So how did that build up to where you started Warriors of the Wind?
there's a lot of complicated parts of the story, so I'm going to try to keep it simple. I will tell you that we, as Marines from the same unit, we are very close knit, and I realized about a year after I left the Marine Corps that we had a problem on our hands with PTSD, depression, anxiety, whatever. Lots of guys with sleep problems. And I kind of went, okay, I need to do something about this. My job was very unique because I was I call it the maintenance dungeon. So you get the pilots that are upstairs. They have their ops and everything upstairs, their ready room. They do all their briefings and such up there. Downstairs is maintenance, and maintenance. There weren't very many officers down in maintenance, and the ones that were down there were mostly pilots that were only there some of the time. So I got a lot of good leadership experience down there, like I said, and it occurred to me some of the things that I was seeing and hearing, and some of it I was dealing with myself, especially the sleep stuff and depression. I was having a hard time myself, and I kind of went, okay, if I'm going through this, what are the guys going through? And so I started asking those questions. I started making it known that, hey, if you guys need to talk, I'm here. And then I don't know the precise time frame, but around 2006, we started losing people. And these are guys that I love like family, still do. And a lot of these deaths, I think, could have been prevented. But it was a mixture of the obvious, which nobody likes to talk about, and just reckless behavior. Some things that could have been avoided, but they were sincere accidents, you know. And I basically saw these things unfolding, and it became a big time passion project for me. Like, you can call me anytime. You know, I'm always here. Here's my number. Like, I probably got 500 Marines on my phone. And a lot of them started doing that. And that started what is now a foundation built around veterans mental health and suicide prevention. But what I was noticing back then in the 2006 to maybe 2010 timeframe, we all had the same problems. It was all very closely connected. And so I started going, okay, well, I keep hearing these guys tell me like they're the only ones going through this. And I saw it very clearly that no, we're all kind of dealing with this in different ways at different velocities, you know. And so we developed several ways to keep tabs on each other. Just think of it kind of like a emergency call list kind of thing, a check-in system. We had that. We had Zoom calls. We had reunions. We had a bunch of different ways. But I became kind of a central hub for information and stuff like that of people that were struggling. And I would be the guy making the phone calls. Sometimes I'd end up talking to their families. There were a couple times where their families called me, both before something bad happened or after something bad happened. And I was able to intervene on some of them. And I took it as a personal responsibility to get to these guys before it got too bad. So it's kind of a complicated thing to explain how Warriors of the Wind came about, but it's all very honestly a lot of passion fueled by pain is what I like to say, because it's the most honest way to explain it. So more or less, it would have been 2023. I started riding motorcycles at age 44. Hadn't planned it. I'd actually planned not to ever do that. And when I started doing that, I had a photography background. Next thing you know, I'm making motorcycle videos. A buddy of mine had, I've told the story so many times, I'm trying to make it different, but it's just not.
Just tell it.
So a buddy of mine had told me that my voice belongs on the radio, which is something I'd heard a fair amount growing up. And I kind of ignored it at first. And he's like, no, I think you need to listen to what I'm telling you right now. Like, you've got a future in this. And I kind of went, okay, so what do I talk about? Where do I do this? He said, talk about what you know. Maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's wherever. So I started a YouTube channel. And what I know to talk about is veterans need to do a better job of keeping tabs on each other. So that's what I talked about. And I read some books, some poems, some, you know, Bible verses, things like that over motorcycle footage. Next thing you know, I take a job in San Francisco and my whole life gets turned upside down when one of my sergeants says, what you're doing is bigger than a YouTube channel. You need to work on a documentary. And I said, a documentary about what? And he said, it's a documentary about you. And I kind of go, what are you smoking, dude? And when I finally realized that he was serious, I kind of took pause, I guess, and tried to process. I'm like, well, this is one of my Marines telling me that he sees something that I don't see yet. And it's a guy I really respected and respected him then, respect him now. Um, so I kind of just went, okay, I don't know how to do it, but I'll give it a shot, more or less. So he was essentially daring me to do something powerfully good to help our Marines. And I took the dare. And next thing you know, I'm learning how to make a documentary. At first, I was riding all the different dangerous parts of San Francisco, look for veterans living on the street. I was going to do like a homeless outreach kind of thing. And then I kind of ran out of time. So I ended up back down in Temecula. Excuse me first. My throat is so dry today. Sorry.
Hey, no problem. That's why we got our water cup, you know.
Mm.
You notice the name too. So
Um, so next thing I do end up doing is going to a lot of VFW type environments, American Legions, just talking to veterans anywhere I can get a hold of them, basically. And I continue to see those trends unfolding of talking to Vietnam vets. I did this, this, and this, which I've heard 100 times before, and seeing the connections between what veterans are doing now and what veterans were doing coming home from Vietnam. Two very different circumstances, clearly at home, but there were similarities. And so I was talking to a Vietnam veteran about this and had this epiphany that okay, veterans now we get home from war and we go do things like you see them doing the ruck runs with the big heavy packs on their backs, mud runs, that kind of stuff. That's what veterans do a lot of the time coming home from our current combat environment. In Vietnam, they come home, they just wanted to hide because they were getting spit on. So what are they going to do? They're going to try to find people like them. They're going to congregate and they're just going to drink their pain away. So the VFWs that are slowly dying off are largely dying off because the current American military veteran demographic is not drawn to go drinking our sorrows away in a dark basement somewhere. We want to be out outside because people are they respect us now. You're welcomed home with open arms. And but the personality changes, the things like PTSD, the bad memories, the nightmares, all those kinds of things, those parallels are still there. um, Vietnam is a crazy place. I've never been, but I've talked to enough guys that did. And
we got a few stories out of war stories out of dad. Um, and mom wouldn't let us, as growing up, mom wouldn't let us talk about it because she was worried it was going to, we called them flashbacks on those days, yeah, and then go back outside, go play. Dad's in the front room watching TV, leave him alone, kind of thing. So he served in 70 to 71. I think got out just before 72. And so yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying there with the Vietnam veteran part of it. I asked Dad that is I've heard stories about people coming home and said, did he have any problem? People spending no, they just told him, hey, when you go home, don't wear your uniform in public. But we live in a rural area, as you've seen. It was a lot smaller back in the 70s than it is today, so a little less issue there. But he still had his demons to fight as
sure.
well. So, but anyway, back to you.
Oh gosh. So the more veterans I talked to, the more I saw these, themes developing. And I would keep hearing, I'm embarrassed to go get help. I can't let my wife see me like this. I don't want my kids to think. I don't want my parents to think. Whatever. And the similarities were so incredibly striking to me. And as I was doing this, let's go back to the motorcycle thing. I'm doing these veteran related things while I'm also a very enthusiastic new motorcycle rider that is getting connected with other veterans who ride because those are the guys I want to ride with. Marines tend to congregate because we understand each other in ways nobody else can. So I'm looking for other veterans to ride with, and very quickly landed on Combat Vets Motorcycle Association. And I start connecting with those guys, and I would see night and day difference between the guy that shows up there and the guy that sticks around for a meeting. Maybe it's a 2 hour meeting that includes a 30-minute ride or something. The guy that would come to that meeting and leave that meeting, two completely different people, because they come carrying the burden of stress and whatever they're going through in life. And I feel like I'm letting people down at home, whatever the case may be. And they leave with, I got to spend time with my brothers today. I got to get out in the open road, burn off some stress. And it was very quickly, very apparent to me that motorcycling is a very, very powerful way to combat some of these issues. Getting people together in the same room, even before they go for a ride, it's that anticipation factor, it's the endorphins. I'm sure there's some kind of chemistry of people gathering that are as intensely, interwoven as we are as veterans. Because like a mother and her baby, they have the oxytocin connection, right? It feels like when I'm around other veterans, there's something like that with us too. That sounds funny, but I'm being serious. Mm. That it's got to be some kind of chemical reaction when we know all of a sudden it's safe to talk about the things we don't talk about anywhere else. And then to see the beauty of riding together, using the hand and arm signals, doing those things we did in the military, it puts us back in this feeling of, I still have control. I've got my own power back. I'm not anxious because I've got people around me that have my back. There's a lot of psychology that comes into group motorcycling, and it's so closely parallel with the military. And so when I started the YouTube channel, all these things are connected, I promise. I started the YouTube channel hoping to get it big enough to where I could raise funds to buy motorcycles for veterans and give them away. That was my goal. It is a whole lot harder to grow a YouTube channel than than I ever could have realized. I'm still going to get to my 5,000. I made that commitment early on, but I just knew that I see something very powerful developing here. I did some research, and from a clinical standpoint, there's been research done on it, but I want to do a whole lot more research on it, and I want to do it nationwide because I know what I see, and I can't just ignore it because I think it's got so much power to help our community, to get them on bikes riding like this, getting them out in nature, seeing the country they protected. There's a power there that I don't think has been fully researched anywhere near enough. So that is how I ended up starting Warriors of the Wind. Was I'm going to try to do this in a really big way. I'm going to figure it out as I go. Warriors of the Wind was started to fund a television miniseries. The reason for the miniseries is to get to the veterans who are isolating in their homes that no one else can get to. TV can do that. So network television is my goal with it, and
You
we'll
did
see what
hear
happens
just
after
not
this.
recently had a deal with Angel Studios trying to get you shot a pilot, right? Am I correct?
Yep.
Shot a pilot, that pilot, and the voting process to, and Angel Studios is here out of Utah. Actually, I found out of Provo, Utah. They've got some great content coming out, great movies. It's really cool to see. It's a lot better entertainment. I think Hollywood is bye bye. It's the sun setting literally on Hollywood of all the different platforms and everything, especially like Angel Studios. And me, you after we guys were traveling through, me and you kind of talked about my idea and such. So
Right.
we'll get into that another time. That could be another show. So
Fair enough.
so what was that like? You come up with that, it's like, all right, we wanted to do a TV. It sounded like you kind of had the same idea like I do to get eyes on this. Like Robert says, get people on you, visibility. And what a great way to get visibility is through a TV series or I guess like a Netflix series or something like that.
Yeah,
So
it's very similar to Netflix. So to become basically Angel Studios, the way it's designed is it's wholesome programming, family friendly. They don't allow for nudity and the things you'll see coming out of Hollywood a lot of the time. No F bombs, nothing like that. Some cussing. Um, so I am guilty of being a Marine, which is not something I'm ashamed of by any stretch, but we do have mouths on us at times.
I gotta
So
say,
I've had
sometimes
to,
it's unfiltered.
yeah, I do filter myself now because I should be doing that anyway. Um,
It's a
but
learning process.
it really
Oh,
is.
that's why they chew on. That's why they eat crayons to keep them from cut.
That's probably it. If our mouths are
Sorry,
full, we can't say bad words.
I'm gonna get my ass kicked one of these days. I'm gonna say that in the wrong crowd.
All good, man. Um, so the documentary thing, I had three or four different ideas on how to do it. And again, the dare was a documentary about me. That's what he said. You need to be a documentary. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And the process of going and doing all these things with veterans and motorcycles, I basically became the documentary on accident because now I have a story about how Warriors of the Wind came about, why we're doing the things we're doing. So the kind of prequel is already written, and that's what I'm still doing to get this movie out to Angel Studios. So it is now gone through Angel Studios. There's three steps to it. Well, probably a lot more after you're successful, but I'm not there yet. So you have to submit a film. It's got to be 20 minutes or less. And I got mine to 1959 because
Nice.
it, it was so hard. But now I realize I'm gonna have to cut it down a lot more now, and that's kind of intimidating to me. So I've got some help from a producer to do that. But basically, you go through a compliance check. That's step one. No problems there. So I made it through step one in a couple of days. Step two, they have something called the Defenders Guild. So the Angels Guild, which is Angel Studios voting population, is 2.2 million people strong. So once you get to the third step of voting, you're in the Angel Voting Guild. So millions of people had the potential to go and watch your film. They're already paying $20 a month to do it. And when they watch it, they can vote on it and say, yes, this deserves to be here, or no, this is garbage, get it out of my face. Um, so
Ooh,
thankfully,
that's gotta be tough. I mean, I
it
can.
was.
We did a few things out of my shop just off the cuff. The first two episodes, it's just I they're $100 cameras, $100 GoPros. We did try to do from different angles. We didn't know what the hell we was doing, but hey, we had fun. It was lighting was terrible, audio horrible, but hey, we did it. It's up there. We learned a lot. Now we know go forward, which I'm sure you've had similar issues with yours when you first started, correct?
Well, one advantage, so I've got a lot of advantages coming into this. Um, we still live in a country that loves its veterans. So they're looking for good veteran stories. So I've got that check in the block. Um, we live in a beautiful country, and motorcycles are a good way to capture what we're seeing. Going out around the mountain curves and whatnot, the big lush forests, the iconic bridges, American landscapes. So we've got the visual aspects covered. So we've got the story with the veterans, we've got the visuals, we got the cool stuff. I've got some good musical things that we're doing, relationships with musicians and such. So I got a lot of things covered. Where I fell a little bit short, and it kind of surprised me a little bit, was the first 2 minutes. I lost about 70% of the viewers. So like the first minute is like 60% gone. So you have to be so quick in storytelling, and make sure you really got to. They call it the hook for a reason. You got to.
I was gonna say Robert Garcia told us, through all these things, like you got literally 10 seconds to get them on the hook. Otherwise, they're
Yeah, he's not wrong. Because of my background, I put something like 1,000 videos out to YouTube, TikTok, Insta, Facebook. So I had what I thought was going to be a pretty good advantage rolling into that environment with Angel, because I made the first minute very impactful, and a lot of people loved that. And then I made the second minute of it. It was me reading a story to a classroom full of junior high kids, um, and it kind of people started dying off, not dying off, dropping off about 30 seconds in, I would say. And from the middle of the intro 1 minute, which is kind of this, it's my voice over like storms and stuff. Um, anyway, they didn't make it to 2 minutes. I'm rambling, but they dropped off before the 2 minute mark. And that did surprise me a little bit because it was a nice, wholesome beginning. But I've got some things figured out that I think because of the demographic we're serving and the voting populace, um, we're talking to a lot of people of faith, and I need to get the Bible out in front of them because we're doing something that's very faith based, but it's not like traditional faith based. We're not sitting in a church. We're praying before a ride, for example. So I learned the lesson. I'm working on the second iteration of Warriors of the Wind pilot, and we ended up with a score of 61. You've got to have a score of 70 to start getting funding and distribution. So for our first effort and my directorial debut, I'm proud of that.
I'm gonna say that's a pretty good goal. Mine would probably hit a lot lower than I don't know.
You got to
Because
think big, man. You got to believe in yourself when it's
well,
time to work.
one of the things, like I said, anything in the knife making world, if I start doing like that, everybody's going to think automatically Forge and Fire. Yes, I was on it, but kind of want to go more than depth of, like I've told you, like I shared with you when you guys were out here, more on more of the work, what we can do with the work, the charities we've helped with, working with others, and the brother and sisterhood within the knife making world. Show that, and then getting into other people's shops and telling their stories is kind of where I want to go, and showing how them and learning and share that learning moment and everything else through. But anyway, I'm going to back to you. I'm rambling.
No, that's okay. I will say this, having recently gone through your shop with you, um, I have a business idea for you that I'll talk to you about
Right.
with offline, because it just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. But I will say that I still haven't been successful in building a forge yet, but we're getting closer. I got the fire bricks, we got the right mortar and all that. Um, so next time my son comes here, I got to have everything dialed in. But
Sweet.
I think you've got,
Heat, beat, and repeat.
yeah, you've got such a unique knowledge base that if you market that right, I think you could do some things you're not thinking about doing yet. So I'm going to talk to you about that offline.
All right. But anyway, on the Angels here.
Sorry.
I mean, you got your 61%, and I believe you said something that you ended up qualifying to go ahead and go through revoting again, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Um,
so
so what
I've
was that like getting that news? You're looking at like yes, but kind of ouch at the same time, I guess, kind of thing.
well, I know that there is no way I'm going to quit at this. Like I will do this until I drop dead if that's what it takes. I know that this series will save lives. That I'm not. It's not a question. It's I know it will. So that knowledge that we can make that big of a difference to veterans. I mean, I'm 1,000% positive that if we get airtime, we will reach a lot of people that need to see this, and the stories will write themselves. And that's the beauty of it is the autobiographical nature of this. Veterans getting out there and sharing their own stories, how they want to share them, is very powerful. And adding the motorcycle component gives you the scenery, it gives you stuff to get excited about. I've looked forward to this part of this podcast, man, because I think there's a point that I need to make that I think a lot of people need to hear, that are in this. We love veterans, we hate suicide. In that group of people, I I don't think people realize how quickly they they want to stop talking about suicide. Like, because if you want to have a productive conversation on how we fix something, it's a conversation you need to start and finish. And most people when the conversation comes up, it makes them get quiet really quickly and they want to get on to the next topic. So what I've found, one of the biggest challenges I've found with Warriors of the Wind Foundation, Warriors of the Wind, the series, people don't like talking about the dark side of suicides happen. Um, and that's one of a very interesting thing we're trying to do is we're trying to make it a little more exciting to talk about these things because what we're doing is it's got a lot of psychology behind it. So you can look at the life cycle of a veteran leaving the military, and there's a couple of good graphics that I found inside the VA that have this. But what we're doing is when they leave the military, they lose, excuse me, their mission. We're giving them their mission back. That's a huge thing right there. So when I say that, what I'm saying is we're giving them a bike that's sponsored by someone, whoever that someone's going to be. It may be Angel Studios themselves because they do funding too. But this bike given to this veteran, sponsored by so and so. The veteran then has that bike to earn over a year's time by going out and doing good in their community. They're required to go out and join a riding organization. Warriors the One is one of them.
So you're saying they kind of get them to this point. You give them the mission and send them out to complete their mission, similar to what you would do in the Marines. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that
it's
idea.
it's so important because if they once they have a mission again, they feel normal. But if they don't have a mission, they're just kind of like, what do I do with my life? Because that's all they've known in their adult lives, most of them.
And that's a lot hard for people to understand. Even me growing up with my father being a veteran, it's still hard for me to grasp. I can see it because I've talked to people like you and other people, friends that have gone to war, um, and locals and such that kind of get listen to their things that made me go, oh, okay, that explains a lot. So for the majority of people, it's kind of hard to say. When you go to the Marine Corps, you're trained. And I listened to a podcast the other night of gentleman who was in Vietnam Marine. Listen to his story and everything, and the training they did with them to get them, you know, don't do stupid stuff. Don't scratch it. Mosquito bites, whatever, because slapping a mosquito can get you killed. And it's never thought of that way. But anyway, I'm random. I just a random squirrel
Oh,
moment.
good, man.
Sorry.
I have them too, I promise. um,
Like who? Shining light.
so just kind of closing the loop on how what makes us different. So let me just list this off for you a little bit
Yeah,
off the cuff.
I was just gonna ask that too. You're reading my
So
mind.
there's a
Oh,
lot of
dude.
there's a lot of organizations out there that are focused on suicide prevention. I think our method is quite a bit different than theirs. Um, we are not just encouraging, we're pretty much somewhere between incentivizing and mandating the veterans need to open up about the things that they do, not in the past, that we're not making them talk about what hurt your feelings 5 years ago. We're talking about what are you doing right now to make your life better that another veteran can learn from. Maybe it's knife making, maybe it's video production, painting. So what we're doing is we're building up a community of people that can help heal each other. We're giving a purpose again. So they're
Kind of
going to be
that like that
required.
term battle buddy kind of thing, but
Right, exactly.
in a not in the military, but here at home.
Loneliness is extremely dangerous for a veteran. I'll just tell you that right now. I've dealt with it myself. I don't do so well solo. I Loneliness is where a lot of bad things happen, and even if it's just having another dude for a roommate. I was in the desert for 14 months back. It's been a while ago now, but 29 Palms. I lived out there for 14 months. I had an apartment, and it was a very rough existence. And thankfully, I had a construction crew that was they were fun to hang out with, and they kept me sane. But my habits weren't so good. So all I'm saying is we are encouraging people to connect with other people, and that's inherently healing by itself. We're encouraging them to go join riding groups, to go out there and see the sunshine and listen to the birds and ocean, whatever you see. Um, so they're getting out of nature, which is good for your mental health. The One of the things that they do to earn these bikes is they connect with things like churches and for example, Where's the Wind? I'm also a CVMA member, Combat Vets Motorcycle Association. I'm a patch member of CVMA, very proud of that. And I go to CVMA events as a CVMA guy. Well, when I come back home, I've got this other thing that I've got 10 other projects with. The main thing is staying connected to people and continuing to find people to help because veterans are extremely they're built on servitude is a big deal for us. Finding people to serve. So this past week and a half, 2 weeks, we've been serving a veteran here locally, Vietnam vet, pilot, and he's not used to the attention he's getting, but he's extremely grateful for it. And so we're seeing this guy just bloom. I mean, that's
I
the only
just
way.
real quick, pause real quick. Are you
Yeah.
sitting in front of a window?
Oh no, but
There you
uh,
go.
yeah,
There you go. I'm just starting to see this line, and it's just catching my eye. My ADHD is going, ooh, light shining off it.
I
Sorry.
get it. No, I have it blocked, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Um,
Anyway,
so it's just really cool going out there and helping these people that have reason to feel forgotten, frankly, by their country that they've fought for. The programs for elderly veterans in particular aren't great. There's some really good ones, but as a general rule nationwide, there's a lot of veterans out there that feel completely forgotten, and I've definitely encountered quite a few of them.
I mean, it's gotten a lot better. I mean, the VA has gotten a little bit better,
Yeah,
definitely with the current administration and his previous time. Um, I remember growing up hearing the joke. A lot of veterans used to say, there's two ways you could give yourself life for your country. Is one is in service, and the other one in the hands of VA. A terrible joke, but I never really understood it until I'm older, and then dark humor. I was like, oh, I get it now. So, so
I heard a guy at giving a speech at the VA a couple years back. He's a guy that's very well known, particularly in the suicide prevention community, also a veteran. And he said, "There's a saying about VA hospitals. When you've been to one VA hospital, you've been to one VA hospital because they're different. You go from one to one to one. The the dynamic is different at every single one you go to. Um, so that could be problematic, and it's good in one way because some hospitals are out there doing some really interesting, innovative things, and then you got some that are set in their ways and they're not doing anything for anybody. Um, but I can tell you that I've been blessed to interact with a lot of VA employees, and the vast majority of the ones that I've encountered are there for the right reasons. They want to help our veterans. They get dis disenchanted, I think is the word I'm looking for, with the bureaucracy that's always going to exist in a large organization like the VA. But at the individual level, I can tell you that I know a lot of very, very good people that are working for the VA trying to do good things for our veterans. So shout out to them. Thanks for what you do. Um, my mom retired as a VA nurse. I always have to throw that in there. And I guarantee she helped a lot of people. So just I understand a lot of people don't like the VA as a system, but just remember the human element. There's still some really good people out there.
oh yeah, when it get down to the individual and such, it's more I think it's more the government aspect, the higher level people, and especially when the government doesn't really care at times. So.
Yeah, well, nobody can help veterans like we can.
Exactly.
That's
I ought to get you in touch with Mandy and Josh out of Dragon City. I did a podcast with them just not recently. I don't know if you had a chance to check that out. Check that out. Mission Phoenix, and then also what she's doing there with Dragon City. They're trying to build a small mini home place. So find veterans, get them off the street, give them a place to stay, give them a hand up, not hand out, get them back where they can self-sufficient, so they can leave the mini home, get their own place, basically help them find their mission in life now outside the service. I think you guys would go hand in hand. So we'll need to make
I would like that because we're actually
connections.
planning some of those things as well, where we're hoping to get a plot of land. We want to do this 5 times across the country, and basically, I call it housing a platoon of homeless veterans. Platoon is it's not perfect math, but basically 50 veterans is what I'm hoping to do across the country. So at 5 locations, have roughly 10 veterans at each one. And I'm actually teamed up with another nonprofit that's fairly local. They're in Laguna Hills, as well as 2 other locations. And they're doing that exact thing, but they're doing it in a large home setting. We're going to be doing more of the tiny home philosophy, I guess.
And that's
Container
kind of
homes.
on the same mission as what she's working at too. You get a chance, I'll send it.
Yeah.
I'll send you a link to so you can sit down and listen to that.
And dude, I'm all for working with other nonprofits to make these things happen. Like some people seem to think that, okay, I'm a nonprofit and I've got this one thing figured out that I don't want anybody else to take it from me, so I'm going to keep it to myself. And there are plenty of people out there that need our help. Like it's better to team up if you got a good reason to.
And that's one thing I am very thankful about in the knife making community. There's a few of us out there that have a little trick that I'll show you, but you can't use it kind of thing. But that's kind of going by the wayside. That's how it used to be back in the day. The big covenant gatekeepers. Yeah, I'll show you, but you can't really do that. Or sometimes they wouldn't just you wouldn't. It was weird, you know, 20, 30 years ago on that. But now, um, people are more willing to talk and collab and share their work, their methods, and such like that, because it does really, in the end, really builds the community up better. So that's where I kind of see the correlation between you're doing, what you're talking about of working with others and such. Again, you got those people like, no, I got my little thing, I got to keep it to. Well, ain't the goal is to help people, help other veterans. Not only
Exactly.
that, but also they can go out and help other people that are not veterans as well. That can help because we all have our demons. Um, Anyway, I'm rambling. Sorry. It's gonna be a rambling time.
That's part of podcasting, man. I do it too. So um I I'm at a point right now where I've done what I said I was going to do. I submitted a documentary to Angel Studios for voting. It did actually pretty well, considering it was my first time trying it. I had to learn so many facets of filmmaking, software platforms, social media, video production, sound engineering. There's been a lot to this. It's taken a lot out of me. And right now, what I'm doing is going back and doing some of the stuff that I had to put on hold to get my film into Angel. So I'm really going to ramp back up probably in August to get that thing cut up a little bit more. It's a 20-minute film. I'm going to try to cut it down to 10 now with some help, and just going to keep on going. There's no way I'm going to stop this. No freaking way. There's been plenty of times people have rolled their eyes at me or said stupid things about how I'm doing on this self glorification mission or something like that. They haven't been taking the 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls from crying veterans that fuel this. This is something I cannot give up on, and I won't. It's it's my purpose.
So I just had a curiosity. The first 20 minutes, is there any way people might be listening like, "Ooh, I want to can we see that now?" Or do we have to wait till you get through the what are you going to release the first 20 and then build something different for the next round of voting or
Or I'll put it this way: once I get the votes that I need to get to move on into funding and distribution and project costs and all that, I'll be a lot more prone to sharing a link with the masses. But right
nice.
now, I'm still got to protect it because it's still intellectual property.
Mhm.
Um, so at some point, yeah, I'll just throw the 20-minute film on YouTube or something like that, but I'm not
Nice.
there yet.
Well, I'm
So,
definitely looking forward to it.
okay.
So
Well, you and I can talk offline about that, but
awesome.
But so, like I said, Angel, it went through the compliance round, then it went through the Guild Defenders round, and I got a score of you just have to get above 50 in the Guild Defenders. Then it goes on to the general voting population of 2.2 million, and then I got a 61 when I needed a 70. Unlimited free submissions. Unlimited free resubmissions, I think is what I was trying to say.
Good.
And
Words are hard some days.
it can be. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm in a spot now where I can breathe a little bit. Summertime because I'm normally a substitute teacher, so I'm just kind of getting my
Ooh,
wits about me
a
again.
substitute teacher with Marine, that would be kind of interesting.
It works way better than I thought it would because honestly, I was a little terrified to be a substitute teacher. But,
Oh, I can imagine, especially in today's world. I mean, have you seen some of
yeah,
the? I'm not a proponent for public education. My personal thoughts, I think public education needs to be tore apart, shredded, back down to basically what it used to be before the federal government got their dirty little grubby hands on it and killed it. I mean, that's just my opinion, and I'm entitled to it, I think.
I think you are.
While that, I'm a product of the government education program because, yeah, I should have just been told, took it out and just like, here, here's the stuff, build this. I probably would have done a little bit better. So, I mean, stuff like that, or I had a lot of frying pan things, and words are not my favorite friend either. But
Oh, yeah.
so we got this. You're talking about rebuilding it, getting it, shorting it down from 20 minutes to 10 minutes, getting it that more like grabs you, pulls you in. And that's not easy to do because even with my shorts, doing little videos and such, which going back to driving, I haven't been on social media very much other than being home, and I'm loving it. Because when you're a small business person, and I'm sure you've had the same thing, you've got to get those reels out there. You've got to get at least 2 to 3 times a week a reel. One week I decided I was going to do a video each one and put it on this platform, and still do my work too. And I'll tell you one thing, that can be draining as well.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's kind of nice not to have to do it much. I'm going to still do it. Like today, I did one. I got asked on what's the best way to sharpen knives. The pizza joint. We've got pizza today because it's hot. We didn't want to cook. They're already hot and sweaty in the pizza shop. He's like, well, how do I get these knives sharpened the best way? And I says, he's telling me what he's got, and I says, it sounds like they need a good hard sharpen. Bring them over. I'll do them for free. Don't bother me a bit. Maybe, hey, a free pizza or something once in a while. I don't know. Just
Sure. Bartering's a
yeah.
big deal, man.
And well, they make good pizza. Ever since they took over lots of spots here locally, it's been the best pizza ever. Um, but and pineapple does belong on pizza. I don't care who you are. Uh,
If you
right?
say so, man. I can dig it. It's all
Oh,
right. It's all right. It's all right. I've
hey,
gotten
it
used
could be
to it.
worse. You could have anchovies,
That's valid. Yeah. No, thank you.
right? My daughter just like ew from the front room. Commentary from the front room there. And he asks, he's like, well, can you sharpen the roller cutters? And I'm like, I know there's a way. I just got to figure that, and I think I got it figured out. I'm just gonna have to tear mine apart and see if I can do it this one way. The best way I'm probably going to be able to sharpen that is off the buffer and just do a hit through the compounds instead of the belt because put it in the drill and spinning it with a belt spin at the same time probably not the best idea. There could be some severe carnage. I don't know. We'll figure it out. If you see me limping around with no leg, we know what happened.
Duly
Um,
noted.
but yeah, that stuff ain't easy to do, and especially where you're doing. And I can just imagine it being how nervous. I mean, I was nervous just doing what we were doing in the shop. Three guys not have a damn clue about camera stuff. I mean, I seen stuff when I was on Forge of Fire, kind of pay attention to what they were doing, but watching and being part of it and doing it's two different things. So, um,
I'm happy to help you with some of that, and I'm
oh
looking
yeah.
forward. You know, you've helped my son and me with some knife stuff. I can help you with some filmmaking, so that's no
Well,
problem.
maybe one of these times when you got a week out here, we'll take the time off. We'll just do something in the shop. Maybe when it's a lot cooler, please, because this fat boy don't like the heat. There's a reason why I don't forge very much in the summertime. Boy.
It was neat seeing your shop though. I mean, it's funny how Facebook does do a good job of bringing people together, and every once in a while you actually get to meet some of these people, and I'm like, okay, this is what I've been seeing. This is
Yep.
cool.
Shout out
So
that Dr. Robert Garcia
no
of
kidding, right?
Garcia Global Media.
Dr. Rob, we've missed you, man. Glad you're back.
We got to get him. I've been trying to get him on here, but he's a busy boy, especially now getting back from his deployment. It was stateside, but still a deployment, right? I guess that would be
Yeah.
still considered deployment.
Detachment deployment, that's what
Detachment,
it's called.
deployment, tomato. So, but from here, you get back into some of your regular stuff and then picking it back up the fall when it's a little bit cooler. If you achieve this goal, what's next after that? What's over that horizon from there?
So I'll try to speak to what we've already done a little bit. We My first big hurdle was getting somebody to give us a motorcycle. Once I got that, we already had a veteran we were helping. We gave him the motorcycle. That was It's approaching a year ago that he was given this motorcycle. However, the bike it's had some mechanical issues, and he hasn't always been able to ride it. So he's been doing a good job of connecting with the American Legion riders, VFW. He's joined. He's done homeless outreach in his community. The idea here is with these bikes, I've said it a couple times now, but just to make sure it's taking, I guess. Um, let's just say they have 100 points. I'll throw out an arbitrary number I'm still figuring out. 100 points over a year's time. So they'll get, say, 20 for joining ALR. Maybe they get 10 for every funeral escort ride they do. Maybe they get 5 for uh, going out, riding to a good cause, helping them for a couple hours and riding home. So James is my first Warrior of the Wind inductee. He was in isolation for 39 years. He is the kind of the main character of the pilot. Michael, I'm going to get that to you so you can watch it, so you'll
Okay.
have a better understanding after this. But their mission, once they get that bike, is to do as much good in the world as they can in 1 year's time, and that includes connecting with other veterans to do good collaboratively. So, with that said, James's year is coming up. He he was given an older bike. He had to help us with some of the cost of certain things. So we're going to figure it out with James guy. So he's got a lot of leeway because he's helped us with some things. We've had a lot of handshake deals. Right? We've helped him with some parts, etc. Um, when this is all said and done, ideally we'll be given bikes that aren't new necessarily, but they're in good running condition that doesn't need a lot of maintenance done to it right out the gate. So my next move, to answer your question, is we're going to go to Four Corners. We're going to put 4 veterans on motorcycles. I will not choose those veterans. I don't want to know those veterans before the bikes are given to those veterans. We'll meet up. We're going to give those away to the veterans. And from that point moving forward, they're a team of 4, hence Four Corners,
Hey, I
one
know where
veteran
that's
each
at.
state. So just kind of picture it. They ride together. They have a meetup somewhere. Maybe it's on the Utah side where, it doesn't matter where they meet up. The point is they're not a long distance from each other. They can link up. They can go, okay, today we linked up at the Four Corners Monument. We're going to ride, 30 minutes north, and we're going to meet up with this nonprofit that just needs some advertising help. So that's part of what we do is we're helping small businesses with marketing and showing off different parts of the country that a lot of people don't really know about. We're going for small towns and rural areas that aren't mainstream. So I think this television series has so much potential to kind of re-adhere some of the things that have fallen apart in America lately. Um, you know, Small towns have a magic to them, and getting to veterans who are living by themselves or just away from the general populace, we're telling a lot of really good stories about what it means to be an American. And I think America sure could really use that right now.
Mm,
Um,
definitely.
so it's visual storytelling, it's human connection, it's mental health. Part of this is a mental health study and this is the first time I've said this on this podcast. Um, Part of what we're doing is quantitative analysis of what does it mean to ride as a veteran. So we have to, as veterans, when we go to the VA, we fill out a certain questionnaire about our mental health, depending on what we're there for. Um, Before each ride and after each ride, we're having our Warriors to the Win doing the same thing to show exactly what they're feeling before they ride and after they ride. And we're grabbing this data up, and eventually it's going to be a massive amount of data that we could then go, Secretary of the VA, take a look at this. This is very interesting. Do you think maybe instead of doling out, opiates to our veterans to make them feel better, maybe motorcycling is a viable alternative for healing their souls? Because we have a big problem with veterans overdosing
Yeah.
or getting addicted or, you know,
And that's where I've been following this IBA game. I don't know if we talked
yep,
about the
I'm
IBA game
familiar.
initiative.
Never done it, but I'm familiar.
Um, I think that has a lot of potential not only for veteran community, but also the civilian population with different, drug addiction. It's showing a lot of great promise. Um, I'm kind of the proofs in the pudding kind of person. So let's just spend. You hear the government, oh, we got to do a study, which basically, ooh, somebody gets, I get money and no results. And Texas, I guess, matter of fact, Tennessee just passed legislation within clinicals, within certain certification clinics throughout Tennessee can start doing that. And for their study, I guess that was on a study basis or however they set it up. It's kind of interesting. I read on it, but I'm drawing a blank exactly. But again, that might not be for everybody. I mean, we just don't know. I mean, it shows a lot of promises for for addiction, for alcohol, for drug abuse, even for some brain injuries
Mm-hmm.
from what
TBIs.
I've and TBIs, yep, which a lot of guys have, and yeah, it's I'm looking forward to see what you guys come out with. I mean, you've been dropping hints here and there and such, like, oh man, I can't tell you yet. Like, oh, suspense is killing me.
Well, you'll
So
be excited when I tell you offline about some of these things. So,
cool.
um,
Well, I think we kind of got covered a lot of it. Unless you got from your, you want to come, and we can do it too. Definitely would love to get your better half on here for an interview for
good to know.
get her
She's a little
perspective.
she's a little shy, but I'll mention that to her.
Well,
Uh,
just duct tape her to church. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
no, because I got to sleep eventually. So,
oh, true. And she's a Marine too, and she knows
facts.
things that.
Well,
So,
I thank you
well,
very much for this opportunity. I
yeah,
look forward to bartering happens a lot in the circles we run in. So if I can help you with the video stuff, I'm here for it. And I just want to tell everybody this is a really nice guy that's out there making an honest living, uh, teaching people knife making, and I look forward to seeing you succeed, man. You're
appreciate it.
got a cool shop there and a big heart, and you're a good guy. So
We went back to a day job for a little bit, actually night job, and it's kind of nice. I was getting burned out for a little bit because I was making stuff. I can make it good. I can kick them out. It was just stuff to pay the bills, but it's not where I want to be. So I'm going to take this job, use it as a basically, well, regroup, circle back, come back out of a different direction, kind of build things back up, um, get some finances taken care of. I'm not in a big hole. I'm just right there. I'm doing all right. So,
we all, I
right.
talked to a friend about, I talked to another veteran not too awful long ago. He was a guy that I went to war with, and we were just talking about our life trajectories, and he said something to me that just it stuck so hard in my brain. He goes, "It's all shooting ladders, shoots and ladders, man, shoots and ladders," and I just went, "That is possibly the most profound thing anyone has ever said to me. Like that truly is life. You're going up, you're going up, you're getting up there, and all of a sudden, carpets pull out from under you.
Or the run breaks and go.
You just never know. But I
uh,
thought that was a really good piece of wisdom. So
so, people are listening. If you listen this far, appreciate it. Remember, like, subscribe, share. Not only us, but the Warriors of the Wind. Share them out. We'll put links down here in the description. Um, Where can they find it, donate, help out? It sounds like you need some maintenance done on some motorcycles. Where can they help out that, one way or the other, of whatever form of donation they can help out with?
Facebook is a really good way to catch us. I get those messages fairly quickly. Dallas Poore is my personal Facebook page, so easy to find. If you go to our website, there is donation information. As I said at the beginning, it's warriorsofthewind.org/about. And if you scroll down to the bottom there, there's a QR code. And I'm going to be upgrading some of the links and stuff around the site, but
Send me
that's
that QR code too.
okay. We'll do. Um, but as far as willingness to help us with things like acquiring motorcycles or sponsoring veterans, we'll find a use for it. We've gotten the help we've gotten has been limited, and we've sponsored a lot of this ourselves to the point where I don't have a personal car anymore. I just ride, so or use her car. So I'm very, very much invested in this. We could definitely use some help, but we're going to get it. We're going to get this thing through Angel. Hopefully that will financially help us quite a bit. But until then, I'm just going to keep on plugging. So,
Awesome.
but yeah.
Any words of advice for anybody who may be, needing some help, looking to do what you're doing? Just get out of that rut.
Getting out of the rut, I will say that volunteerism is a very good way to improve your mental health. Just being around we're in a tough spot right now as far as being around other people because I've been seeing this on Facebook this last week. People are so sick of the dynamics that are in play right now, whether it's politics or war or everything's expensive. There's a lot of things going on in our country right now. So it's difficult to have conversations that don't revolve around those things. But if you're intentional about it, go out there in the countryside, man. Go up in the trees. I got 3 national parks that are within 2 hours a year, and getting out there in big nature is so healing. Do some meditating. I mean, there's binaural beat soundtracks that are great for your brain for trauma. Are you familiar with binaural beats? This might be good for you. So binaural beats, you can have pretty much any music playing, and if let's just say you have the ability to add a layer of sound to the music, because I've got movie editing software, so it's easy for me. But basically, binaural beats, you've got, let's say, 8 hertz in this ear, you've got 13 hertz in this ear, and your brain tries to make them meet in the middle. And when it does that, it actually creates new neural pathways in your brain, which helps you heal from trauma. So there's a very interesting book written about this called Thresholds of the Mind by Bill Harris. This is one of the things that I started doing with my YouTube channel, was incorporating that sound technology into some of my rides. So they could watch the ride, enjoy it like it's them on the bike, and have these binaural beats playing with nice soft music. I probably looked a little bit like that when I was doing that. But
hey, I mean, have you met me?
fair point, man.
I'm not. I've been like my friend told me. It's like, well, you're an acquired taste, and not everybody's cup of tea. And like what, I'm fine with that because I've been always the odd duck, the odd one out, the weird one. You know what? People, you meet a lot of people, and you might have friends and such. Everybody remembers that one weird guy. So stay weird, that's for sure.
I love it. I don't disagree with you either. I'm trying to keep that stripe off my face right
Oh,
now.
that's all right. We're just gonna call you Stripey now.
That works, man.
Actually, it's got like a dotted line, so maybe it's running the zipper, like the road.
All right, zipper works.
I don't know. Anyway, well, let's walk out of here. I'm sure you got to get back to things. Mrs. probably got some chores for you to do. So,
always.
Hey, appreciate it. Again, we'll drop everything on the, yeah. Anyway, stay sharp, America, and remember, there's only one King, and that's the Lord Jesus Christ. If you want to know want to have a conversation with him, or if you just need somebody to listen to you, hey, reach out to either me, Dallas, or anybody out there. It's okay to talk.
That's a great way to sign off, man. Pleasure to see you again. I'm giving you a handshake from here.
Yeah, here we go. So,
peace.
All right, folks. Again, Behind the anvil.